Hi. Okay, so one of the things that I get asked a lot of questions about is what do I do with Singleton PLCs, especially if I am at a high school level where I'm one of like three math teachers teaching all of the different areas, but we are a PLC together. So I always tell my team still anchor in divorce four main questions. What do we want kids to know? How are we going to know they've learned it? What are we going to do if they didn't learn it? How are we going to respond if they did? Like those are always really great overarching questions to anchor yourself in. But it does look a bit different when we're really teaching different curriculum. It might be similar content, but like weird, I'm teaching algebra, you're teaching geometry, it's totally different. So here are four suggestions I have for how a singleton PLC that meet multiple singletons that meet together, what their overarching goal or what do we want them to know might be about. A common content area goal. So I'm a former language arts teacher, so this would be maybe something very specific related to a writing genre or something very specific related to a particular reading standard. So it's something very content based. Maybe for an overarching skill goal, if I am a singleton mixed CTE group, it might be one or two CTE skills that we want to align and have our students work on in all of our content areas. Maybe I teach French and you teach Spanish, and we're the only two world language teachers, not world language arts teachers, in the building. We PLC, we teach different languages. Well, maybe speaking and listening skills are always an area that our students struggle with. So together, we want to improve that in each of our areas, and we are going to share resources together on that. Perhaps what we need to do as a PLC is just have some really good vertical alignment conversations. So this might be 9 through 12 in our various math content areas and our various math preps. We're talking about the ways that we approach each of the courses. Maybe we talk about different vocabulary terms we're using or not using, or practices that we are implementing. Sometimes teams get into this and their vertical alignment work as common grading practices or refinement of some of those elements. Sometimes it's the structuring of assessments and then allowing retakes. All of that still fits underneath the umbrella of what do we want our kids to know and how are we going to know they've learned it. Maybe you will have a common literacy goal. Maybe you have a social studies department and you say, we need to really, really, really do more to support these reading and literacy skills. And so we are all going to implement close reads and we are going to figure out what this looks like for us. And then we're going to bring back common data occasionally to reflect on how that's going. So what might that look like? Let's stay with the social studies example, and let's pretend that we are trying to implement close reading lessons, or we're just trying to see if we can help our kids improve their short answer responses. Well, maybe in September, we start by looking at or creating existing rubrics, whether it's a rubric on the SAT or some kind of standardized measure, or a rubric we already have, or we create one. And then we purposefully decide several different times where we're going to bring back student samples. And it doesn't mean we gave all the exact prompt. And I also don't think that you should give the same prompt in November and January and March. We're just planning a couple of different times where we know we're all going to have our kids like do a short answer response. As a team, it doesn't matter that we didn't teach the exact same thing. I can still look at your students' work and I can give you feedback. I can tell you what I noticed, what I wondered. You could do the same for me. And we can notice trends together. Even though we taught on different topics, even though we taught on different content, we can still find these similarities that can impact our instruction in our classes and how we're responding to kids. And maybe you know that in May you're going to reflect on whatever expectations you had set at the beginning of the year and whatever rubric you had decided, and you're going to continue to build off of that. I'm not saying that you only bring back samples like 3 times a year, so please don't understand me to mean that. I just mean there are ways that you can purposefully plan when you're going to bring back these formative assessment pieces of data across multiple content areas. So sometimes we get stuck in thinking, but I didn't give the same end of unit test as you gave. I know, assessment doesn't have to equal test. Let me say that again. Assessment does not have to equal test. So be proactive in figuring out what are a couple of ways we do want to check and see progress and make it meaningful for students. I would, especially at a high school level, always count it for a grade, because if you don't, I don't know that they're really going to take it seriously. But be reflective in how you are grading together.